Welcome to my channel Rare Coins Hub. Today we are talking about the story of the 1958 USA 5-cent coin, or the nickel. Is a journey that begins deep in the heart of American history, takes us through a pivotal moment in numismatic design, and ends with a jaw-dropping reveal of just how much this unassuming coin is worth today. If you've ever wondered whether the coins you casually toss into a jar or leave lying around could hold hidden value, the tale of the 1958 nickel might just convince you to start paying closer attention to your spare change. To understand the significance of the 1958 nickel, we need to take a step back in time. The United States had already experienced significant changes in its coinage by the time the 1950s rolled around. The country was in the midst of post-World War II prosperity, and Americans were experiencing an era of growth, optimism, and innovation. It was a time when new ideas and designs in every aspect of culture, art, architecture, fashion, and even money, reflected the nation's newfound confidence and its commitment to progress. The US 5-cent coin, which had been in circulation since 1866, had undergone several redesigns in its relatively short history. The first nickel, known as the shield nickel, was issued in 1866 and featured a large shield on the reverse. Then, in 1883, a new design featuring a liberty head was introduced. This coin stayed in circulation for more than 3 decades until, in 1913, the famous Buffalo nickel was born. The Buffalo nickel, designed by artist James O. Fraser, remains one of the most iconic coins in American numismatic history. With its striking image of a Native American chief on the obverse and a bison on the reverse, it stood as a symbol of the American frontier and the nation's pride in its native heritage. The Buffalo nickel was in circulation for more than 25 years before it was replaced in 1938 by the Jefferson nickel, which featured a portrait of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. This design would go on to become one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history, but it was the 1958 edition of the Jefferson nickel that would take the spotlight in this story, thanks to some subtle yet important characteristics that set it apart from other coins of its time. By the late 1950s, the Jefferson nickel had been in production for 2 decades, and the design had become so familiar that it was nearly indistinguishable from its earlier versions. Yet, in 1958, certain key factors, both in terms of design and minting practices, would elevate the nickel into the category of rare and valuable collector's items. When you think of the 1958 nickel today, it's easy to imagine just another standard coin, part of the nearly 200 million nickels that were minted that year. The 1958 nickel wasn't a commemorative issue, it wasn't a special edition or limited release. It wasn't part of an experiment or a unique coinage initiative. Instead, it was a regular issue of the Jefferson nickel series. But what makes this particular year so intriguing is what happened during the minting process. In the mid-1950s, the U.S. Mint was in the middle of transitioning its methods and operations to cope with the country's changing needs. As the economy boomed, the demand for coins increased, and production processes had to evolve. The 1958 nickel, along with other coins minted in this period, saw some interesting inconsistencies due to these changes. Some of these inconsistencies would go unnoticed for decades, but to the careful eyes of numismatists and collectors, the 1958 nickel would eventually reveal itself to be far more valuable than the average circulating coin. It wasn't until years later, as the world of coin collecting became more formalized and organized, that collectors began to notice the subtle details that set certain 1958 nickels apart. One of the key characteristics that make this coin so highly sought after is its unique minting error, known as the double die error. The double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during production, causing the design to appear more than once, slightly offset. This error results in a double image, which is especially noticeable on the date and certain parts of the lettering on the coin. The double die error is a rarity that collectors treasure because of its uniqueness. It is a mistake that can occur during the minting process, but not all coins are affected, making the ones that do have the error even more valuable. For the 1958 nickel, the presence of this error is an indicator of the coin's scarcity and importance in the numismatic world. Now, let's talk about the design itself. While the 1958 nickel features the same basic design as the other Jefferson nickels, Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse, there is a subtle change that makes this coin significant. During the late 1950s, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with new methods of engraving and die production. This led to small differences in the quality of the engraving and the sharpness of the details. For example, the 1958 nickel often features a stronger and more detailed image of Jefferson's profile than earlier years, as well as a crisper rendition of Monticello. These differences, while subtle, add to the coin's overall appeal, and they make the 1958 nickel particularly interesting to collectors who are looking for coins that stand out from the rest of the series. As with all rare coins, condition is key. A 1958 nickel in mint condition can fetch a significant amount on the open market. However, it's not just any 1958 nickel that holds high value, it's the ones with the double die error, or those that have been exceptionally well preserved over the years. The better the condition of the coin, the higher the value. Coins that are graded by professional organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, have a much better chance of realizing their full market potential. So, just how much is the 1958 nickel worth today? The value of a 1958 nickel can vary greatly depending on its condition and whether it carries the double die error. Most 1958 nickels, in average condition, are worth only a few cents over their face value. However, if you happen to have a 1958 nickel with the double die error in excellent condition, you could be looking at a potential windfall. In fact, one such nickel recently sold for an astonishing $105,000 at auction, making it one of the highest-selling Jefferson nickels of all time. This incredible value is a testament to how much the world of coin collecting has evolved over the years. What was once just pocket change is now recognized as a valuable artifact of American history, with collectors willing to pay a premium for coins that have rare features, historical significance, and minting anomalies. The 1958 nickel, in all its understated glory, has become one of the most coveted and valuable coins in the numismatic world. If you're holding a 1958 nickel in your pocket right now, it's time to take a second look. While most of them are worth just 5 cents, there's a possibility that you could have one of the rare error coins, which could be worth thousands, if not tens of thousands, of dollars. As the world of coin collecting continues to grow, more and more collectors are turning their attention to these overlooked treasures from the past. In the end, the story of the 1958 nickel is a reminder that in the world of numismatics, even the smallest coins can hold immense value. Whether it's the subtle details in the design, the rare minting errors, or the historical context of the coin itself, the 1958 nickel proves that there's always more than meets the eye when it comes to collecting. And who knows? Maybe the next time you dig through your spare change, you'll discover a small fortune waiting to be unearthed. Top 2 coin of USA history. In this video we will talk about the story of the 1984 US 5-cent coin, or nickel. Might not sound particularly remarkable at first. After all, it's a coin that has been in circulation for decades, designed to serve as everyday currency, passed from hand to hand, and rarely given a second glance. However, as we delve into the history, design, and unique circumstances surrounding the 1984 nickel, you'll quickly realize that this coin is more than just pocket change. It's a window into America's history, the evolution of its coinage, and the hidden world of numismatic treasures that lie within everyday coins. By the end of this story, you'll discover why the 1984 nickel could be worth up to an astonishing price. To understand the significance of the 1984 nickel, we need to first look at the coin's long and storied history. The US 5-cent piece, often called the nickel, was first introduced in 1866, following the Civil War, at a time when the nation was in desperate need of a coin to fill the void between the 1-cent piece and the dime. The first nickel, known as the shield nickel, featured a large shield design and quickly became a staple of everyday life in the United States. But it wasn't until 1913 that the Buffalo nickel, one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history, was minted. The Buffalo nickel, with its famous design of a Native American chief on the obverse and a bison on the reverse, captured the essence of the American frontier, and it remained in circulation until 1938. That brings us to the Jefferson nickel, which was introduced in 1938, and which has been in circulation for most of the years since. The design, which was created by sculptor Felix Schlag, has featured the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. This coin, like many others, has undergone minor adjustments and redesigns over the years, but it has remained a symbol of American heritage, freedom, and history. As we move into the 1980s, the nickel design was still the same, a simple, timeless tribute to Thomas Jefferson and his contributions to the founding of the United States. However, there were some interesting things happening behind the scenes at the U.S. Mint during this time. The 1980s were a period of significant change for the American economy, and this had a direct impact on the production of coins. The country was experiencing a period of high inflation, and the costs of producing coins, especially those made of metals like copper and nickel, were rising rapidly. The U.S. Mint faced the challenge of balancing the cost of materials with the need to continue producing coins that could be used in everyday transactions. By the time 1984 rolled around, the U.S. Mint had become adept at producing millions of nickels every year. In 1984 alone, over 500 million Jefferson nickels were minted. However, some of these coins, though seemingly indistinguishable from the average nickel, would go on to become far more valuable than their face value. In fact, the 1984 nickel is one of the most interesting and highly sought-after coins in the world of modern numismatics, and its story involves a mix of historical context, small design variations, and rare minting errors that make it a true treasure for collectors. To understand what makes the 1984 nickel so special, we need to take a closer look at the coin's design and the process through which it was produced. The 1984 nickel, like all the coins in the Jefferson series, features two primary elements: the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and a depiction of Monticello, his Virginia home, on the reverse. The obverse features a left-facing profile of Jefferson, looking dignified and wise, with the words "Liberty" and the year of minting, in this case, 1984, surrounding his image. On the reverse, you'll see the word Monticello and a detailed engraving of the building itself, with Jefferson's famous home standing proudly at the center. The design of the 1984 nickel itself wasn't vastly different from previous years, but it was a part of a continuing tradition of honoring American figures and landmarks through coinage. The design elements were executed in the usual manner, with engravers working carefully to ensure the integrity of the coin's appearance. But, unbeknownst to the public, some of the coins minted in 1984 would contain subtle, but incredibly valuable, errors. One of the most significant errors that made the 1984 nickel so valuable is the occurrence of the double die variety. This error happens during the minting process, when a die used to strike the coin is misaligned or struck multiple times, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. For the 1984 nickel, this error is most noticeable on the date and certain parts of the lettering, which can appear blurred or doubled. The double die error is a rare occurrence, and finding one in good condition can make a coin exponentially more valuable. The double die error in the 1984 nickel is particularly interesting because it's not immediately obvious to the untrained eye. Unlike more obvious minting errors, like a full, off-center, strike or a misspelled word, the double die error requires a keen eye and a magnifying glass to spot. Collectors and numismatists know exactly what to look for, especially when examining the year, 1984, on the obverse. The doubling effect is subtle but significant, making these coins highly sought after by those in the know, but it's not just the double die error that makes the 1984 nickel special. In the years since its release, this coin has gained notoriety for its rarity and condition, factors that contribute to its substantial value. Coins that are in excellent condition, with little to no wear, have the potential to fetch a much higher price on the open market. A well-preserved 1984 nickel, even without the double die error, can still be worth more than its face value, as collectors seek out high-quality examples of the coin to add to their collections. Now, let's talk about value. As with all rare coins, the worth of the 1984 nickel depends on several factors, including its condition, whether it has any errors, and whether it has been professionally graded by a recognized coin grading service. The value can vary widely, but the most impressive example of a 1984 nickel ever sold was a double die error coin in pristine condition, which sold at auction for an astonishing $109,000. This sale sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, reinforcing the idea that even seemingly common coins, when they have the right mix of rarity and error, can become valuable collector's items worth tens of thousands of dollars. So, how can you determine whether your 1984 nickel is one of these rare and valuable coins? The key is in the details. First, check the date and the letters around it, particularly the Liberty inscription. If you notice any signs of doubling or a blurry appearance, you may be in possession of a double die error coin. You'll also want to examine the overall condition of the coin. Coins that are in excellent, almost uncirculated condition, are far more valuable than those that have been worn down from years of circulation. Professional coin grading services like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, are essential tools in determining the value of a coin. These services evaluate the condition of the coin based on a scale from 1 to 70, with coins in the upper range of this scale being extremely valuable. The 1984 nickel's rise to fame in the world of coin collecting is a testament to how small details, like a minor minting error, can turn an ordinary coin into a rare and valuable treasure. Collectors who seek out rare variations, minting errors, and unusual features in coins have turned the 1984 nickel into one of the most intriguing and coveted pieces in modern U.S. coinage. Whether it's the double die error, the overall quality of the coin, or its historical context, the 1984 nickel proves that there's far more to coin collecting than meets the eye. If you happen to have a 1984 nickel in your collection, it's worth taking a closer look. What may seem like a simple, run-of-the-mill coin could be the key to unlocking a small fortune. The next time you dig through your change, remember, the 1984 nickel, in all its understated glory, could very well be worth much more than 5 cents. It might just be worth $109,000. This script covers the historical context, design, minting details, collector appeal, and the extraordinary value of the 1984 nickel, ending with the big reveal of its worth. Let me know if you would like to expand or adjust any part of the script. The top 3 USA coin is 5 cents. Yes, the journey of the 1979 5-cent coin, or nickel, is a tale woven with both history and mystery, wrapped in the kind of narrative that coin collectors dream of. On the surface, it may seem like just another coin, another year in the long-running production of America's nickel. But as we dig deeper, we'll find that the 1979 nickel holds much more than meets the eye. From its historical context and the design that graced the coin during that year to the little-known details of its minting process and its eventual rise to rare, collector's item status, the 1979 nickel has a story that has captivated numismatists and collectors alike. To understand the significance of the 1979 nickel, we first need to understand its context. The year 1979 was an interesting time in the United States, both politically and economically. It was a year marked by the early stages of the Carter administration, with Jimmy Carter serving as the 39th president. The country was facing challenges such as rising inflation and the energy crisis. As a result, the economic landscape was a bit turbulent, but this did not stop the United States Mint from continuing to produce coins for circulation, including the nickel. The U.S. 5-cent coin has been a part of American life since its creation in 1866, with its original design featuring a large shield. Over time, the nickel underwent several design changes, including the highly popular Buffalo nickel, which was produced from 1913 to 1938 and remains one of the most iconic coins in American history. However, by 1938, it was replaced by the Jefferson nickel, which continues to be the design used for the 5-cent coin today. This design, created by sculptor Felix Schlag, features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Virginia estate, Monticello, on the reverse. The design of the Jefferson nickel has remained unchanged for decades, but subtle differences and refinements have been made over the years to adapt to changes in the minting process and the evolving needs of the country's coinage. In 1979, however, the production of nickels was especially important, as the U.S. Mint continued to strike coins with the same iconic design, but there were minor issues and unique circumstances that would later make the 1979 nickel one to keep an eye on. In 1979, over 500 million nickels were minted, making it one of the most widely circulated years for the Jefferson nickel. The coin still retained its familiar design, Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the front, with the word Liberty above and the year of minting, 1979, below. On the reverse, Monticello was beautifully etched into the coin, and the coin bore the traditional inscription of United States of America, with De Pluribus Unum and 5 cents beneath it. The details of the coin were crisp and clear, but as with all coins, there was always the chance that something unique could arise from the minting process. As we look at the design of the 1979 nickel, it's easy to assume that nothing unusual happened during this particular year. After all, it wasn't a special commemorative coin, and it wasn't meant to mark a milestone like other U.S. coins had in the past. However, as we delve deeper into the minting process, we start to uncover some interesting details that set the 1979 nickel apart from other years. One of the key aspects that collectors look for when evaluating a coin is the minting process, how the coins were made and any anomalies or irregularities that occurred during production. In 1979, like many other years, nickels were struck in large quantities, but there were certain error coins and production anomalies that would later make certain 1979 nickels incredibly valuable. One of the most notable errors associated with the 1979 nickel is the double die variety. The double die error occurs when a coin die is improperly aligned or has been struck multiple times, causing the design elements on the coin, especially the lettering and the date, to appear as if they have been doubled or shifted. In the case of the 1979 nickel, the most noticeable feature of the double die error is on the date and the word Liberty, which appear faintly doubled. This error is subtle and hard to spot unless you know what to look for, but it has captured the attention of collectors in recent years. The double die error is a fascinating and relatively rare phenomenon, and it's one of the main reasons that certain 1979 nickels have become so sought after in the world of numismatics. Collectors love finding these error coins because they represent a break from the norm, a glimpse into the imperfections that sometimes occur in the minting process. Error coins, in general, hold a special allure because they are unique. No two error coins are exactly alike. And in the case of the 1979 double die nickel, this variety stands out even more due to its rarity and the subtlety of the error. While the double die error is the most famous and valuable error associated with the 1979 nickel, there are other factors that can influence the coin's value. For example, condition plays a huge role in determining a coin's worth. Like all collectibles, coins are graded on their level of preservation, with the highest grade indicating that the coin has been well cared for and shows little to no signs of wear. Coins in excellent condition, those that show few signs of use or damage, are far more valuable than those that have been heavily circulated or worn down. The Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, are two of the most trusted grading services in the coin industry, and they are widely used by collectors and dealers to determine the value of a coin. A 1979 nickel that has been professionally graded as MS67 or higher, meaning it is in near-perfect, uncirculated condition, can command a significantly higher price than a coin in lower grades. The highest-grade 1979 nickels have become the most desirable to collectors, with some even fetching thousands of dollars at auction, but even without the double die error, the 1979 nickel has been known to fetch impressive prices at auctions, especially if it is in mint condition. In fact, a well-preserved, error-free 1979 nickel could be worth anywhere from $20 to $50 to collectors, depending on the condition and whether it has been graded. However, when it comes to the famous double die error, the value skyrockets. So, just how much is the 1979 double die nickel worth today? It may surprise you to learn that a pristine, error-free version of the 1979 double die nickel, depending on the exact error and condition, has been known to sell for a jaw-dropping $105,000 at auctions. This makes it one of the highest-selling Jefferson nickels of the modern era, and it's proof that even the most ordinary-seeming coins can carry hidden value. For the serious collector, a coin like this represents more than just an investment. It represents a slice of American history, a glimpse into the intricacies of coin production, and the potential for great reward. So, how can you determine whether your 1979 nickel is one of these rare, valuable coins? The first step is to examine the date and the word Liberty. If you notice any signs of doubling or blurry lettering, you may have a double die error coin on your hands. You should also check the overall condition of the coin. Coins that are in great condition, without signs of wear or scratches, are far more likely to fetch higher prices, while the chance of finding a 1979 nickel worth $105,000 may seem slim. It's worth remembering that in the world of coin collecting, rarity, condition, and historical significance are everything. Coins that were once viewed as ordinary can become extraordinary when they are tied to an event, an error, or a moment in time that makes them unique. In conclusion, the 1979 nickel is a prime example of how something as simple as a coin can hold immense value, both historically and financially. What might have seemed like just another 5-cent piece in 1979 is now a collectible treasure, with certain examples fetching over $100,000. Whether it's the error in the minting process, the quality of preservation, or the intriguing backstory, the 1979 nickel stands as a testament to the fact that even the smallest coins can be hiding a fortune, waiting to be discovered. So, the next time you come across a 1979 nickel in your pocket or in your collection, remember that it might just be the key to unlocking a life-changing find. It might not look like much on the surface, but with a little luck, you could be holding onto something far more valuable than you ever imagined. Top 4 U.S. coin is 5 cent of the year 1983 may seem distant, but when it comes to U.S. coins, it's a year that marks an interesting chapter in American numismatic history. The 1983 5-cent coin, or nickel, represents more than just pocket change. It tells a story about the evolution of American currency, the subtle changes that occurred in the minting process, and, most intriguing of all, the errors and rare finds that can turn an ordinary coin into a treasure worth thousands. By the end of this tale, you'll be amazed to learn that the 1983 nickel has risen in value to a staggering $110,000, but that's just one part of the story. Let's take a journey through time, design, and unexpected discoveries. To begin, let's set the stage with the historical context surrounding the 1983 nickel. The early 1980s were a time of significant change in the United States. The country was emerging from an economic recession, with inflation rates rising and the unemployment rate a point of concern. Despite these economic pressures, the U.S. Mint was still hard at work, creating the coins needed for daily transactions. For the 5-cent piece, this meant continuing to strike the Jefferson nickel. Introduced in 1938, the Jefferson nickel features the profile of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, and has remained a hallmark of American coinage ever since. The design, which was the work of German-born sculptor Felix Schlag, features Jefferson's portrait on the obverse and his beloved home, Monticello, on the reverse. The coin has undergone subtle changes over the decades, but the general aesthetic has largely stayed the same since its introduction. By 1983, the Jefferson nickel had become a familiar fixture in the pockets of everyday Americans, circulating side by side with dimes, quarters, and pennies. However, while the 1983 nickel looked almost identical to the previous years, 1983 was unique because of some behind-the-scenes shifts at the U.S. Mint. And it's these small changes that would lead to the fascinating story of rare 1983 nickels that would soon capture the attention of collectors around the world. The design of the 1983 nickel, like all other Jefferson nickels, featured Jefferson's portrait facing left on the obverse, with the word Liberty above and the year of minting, 1983, below. On the reverse, the engraving of Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia estate, graced the coin, with the inscription United States of America and the denomination 5 cents, along with the motto E pluribus unum. It was simple, yet elegant, a design that has stood the test of time, but it wasn't the design of the 1983 nickel that would make it famous. Instead, it was the minting process that led to rare errors and variations, which became the key reason why collectors started taking notice of the 1983 nickel years after its release. During the minting process, minor imperfections can occur. These imperfections, often referred to as minting errors, happen when something goes wrong during the coin's production. Some of these errors can be incredibly rare and valuable, and the 1983 nickel had its fair share of such anomalies. One of the key factors that make the 1983 nickel so interesting is the possibility of discovering a double die error. A double die occurs when a coin die is struck twice, causing the design to appear faintly doubled. This can occur when the die is not properly aligned, and it causes portions of the lettering or design elements to look doubled, giving the coin a distinct, blurry appearance. For the 1983 nickel, the most noticeable effect of the double die error is often found in the date and the word Liberty on the obverse. Though the doubling effect is subtle, collectors with an eye for detail know exactly what to look for. The double die error is not something that would be easily spotted by the casual observer, and that's part of what makes it so valuable. Coins with this error are rare, and even a small imperfection like this can turn a common nickel into a highly sought-after treasure. The 1983 nickel with the double die error has become one of the most notable error coins in the world of numismatics, and for collectors, finding one is akin to striking gold. But it wasn't just the double die error that made the 1983 nickel so remarkable. The condition of the coin also played a huge role in determining its value. For collectors, the higher the grade of the coin, the more valuable it becomes. Coins that are well preserved, with minimal signs of wear and tear, are much more valuable than coins that have been circulated heavily. The 1983 nickel, like any other coin, was produced in a variety of conditions, and those in pristine condition, free of scratches or damage, are worth far more than those that have been worn down by years of handling. Professional coin grading services, such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, play a vital role in the coin collecting community. These organizations assign a numerical grade to a coin, ranging from 1 to 70, based on its appearance, preservation, and level of wear. A coin graded MS 65 or higher, meaning it is in near perfect or uncirculated condition, can command a much higher price than one in lower grades, given the rarity of the double die error and the demand for high-quality examples. The 1983 nickel has become one of the most coveted coins in recent years. Even a standard 1983 nickel in excellent condition can fetch a respectable price, but the real excitement comes when a collector finds a double die error coin that is in exceptional condition. This leads us to the question, how much can a 1983 nickel actually be worth? The double die error is the most important factor in determining value. Coins in mint condition can sell for thousands of dollars, but those with the double die error take the value to a whole new level. The highest prices are typically achieved by coins that are in MS 65 or higher grades, meaning they are in nearly flawless condition and have the double die error clearly visible. These coins have been known to sell for as much as $110,000 at auction. It's an astonishing amount of money for a coin that, at first glance, might appear to be just another ordinary nickel. So, what makes the 1983 nickel so valuable, and how can you tell if you have a valuable one in your collection? It's a combination of rarity, error, and condition. The double die error is a key factor, but it's not the only thing that collectors look for. If you happen to have a 1983 nickel, the first step is to examine it closely. Look at the date, the word Liberty, and other parts of the design for any signs of doubling. If the lettering looks blurry or shifted, there's a chance that you found a double die error coin. Next, check the condition of the coin. Is it in excellent shape with few signs of wear? Coins that are well preserved and show little evidence of circulation are much more valuable than those that have been damaged or heavily worn. Professional coin grading can also help determine the value of the coin, so if you suspect you have a rare one, it's worth getting it graded by a professional service. The rise in value of the 1983 nickel is a reminder that even the most unassuming coins can hold significant value. For collectors, the joy of discovering a rare coin, especially one with a minting error, can be both thrilling and rewarding. What might have once been a 5-cent piece, handed out at a store or used to make change, is now a piece of history, with the potential to fetch tens of thousands of dollars. In conclusion, the 1983 5-cent coin has become more than just a part of American currency. It's a symbol of how small details, like a minting error or perfect condition, can elevate a seemingly ordinary coin into a highly coveted treasure. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who's just starting to explore the world of numismatics, it's always worth taking a closer look at your change. After all, you never know when you might be holding a rare coin worth $110,000. At the last but not least, the year 1986 might not stand out in the history books as a major turning point for the United States, but when it comes to coin collecting, 1986 holds a unique place in the story of American numismatics. The 1986 5-cent coin, commonly known as the Jefferson nickel, may seem like just another nickel that passed through the pockets of millions of Americans, but as we dive deeper, we'll uncover the fascinating journey that this coin took, from its minting process to the exciting errors that made some 1986 nickels exceptionally rare and valuable. By the end of this video, you'll learn about the coin's impressive modern value, reaching up to thousands of dollars for some incredibly rare examples. Let's first take a step back and look at the historical backdrop against which the 1986 nickel was produced. The 1980s was a time of significant change in the United States, with President Ronald Reagan serving his second term in office. The nation was in the midst of a major economic recovery, following the difficult years of the late 1970s and early 1980s. Inflation had begun to stabilize, the stock market was on an upward trajectory, and the country was emerging as a stronger economic power in the global arena. For the U.S. Mint, this was just another year in a long tradition of coin production. The Jefferson nickel had been in circulation since 1938, but the coin was far from static. While the obverse of the coin, featuring a profile of Thomas Jefferson, remained the same since its creation, the reverse design, which features Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, has seen subtle updates over the years. But in 1986, it wasn't so much about changes in design as it was about the continuation of a long-standing tradition that connected the coin to the country's history. The 1986 nickel had all the familiar features, yet it would go on to capture the attention of numismatists for a very different reason. The Jefferson nickel design is one of the longest standing in U.S. coinage. Its obverse features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the author of the Declaration of Independence. His face, sculpted by artist Felix Schlag, has adorned the coin since 1938. Below his portrait, the coin reads, Liberty, and the year of minting, 1986, appears underneath that. The reverse of the coin shows Jefferson's Monticello, his historic Virginia plantation home. The design was chosen as a tribute to Jefferson's architectural and intellectual contributions to the country, and it has remained largely unchanged since it was first introduced in 1938. The reverse also features the inscription, United States of America, the denomination, 5 cents, and the motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. It's a classic design, one that has come to represent American values, independence, and heritage. In 1986, the U.S. Mint struck over 600 million Jefferson nickels for circulation, an enormous amount considering the size of the U.S. population at the time. These coins were distributed throughout the country, handed out in change at stores, used to buy everyday items, and exchanged in transactions across the nation. However, for many years, the 1986 nickel was viewed simply as another piece of the everyday currency that flowed through wallets and purses, a piece of pocket change that didn't hold much mystery or excitement for most people. But as time passed, collectors began to realize that there was more to the 1986 nickel than met the eye. The number of error coins produced by the U.S. Mint began to draw attention from numismatists, as subtle and often rare variations started to emerge. The 1986 nickel, like most coins produced in large quantities, could suffer from issues during the minting process. Some of these imperfections would go unnoticed by the general public, but for the seasoned collector, these errors presented an exciting opportunity to unearth a hidden treasure point. One of the most significant errors associated with the 1986 nickel is the double die error. A double die error occurs when the coin die, the tool used to strike the coin's design, is misaligned or strikes the planchet, the blank piece of metal that becomes the coin, multiple times. This leads to parts of the design appearing as if they have been doubled or shifted, and it can create subtle distortions in the lettering, the date, and other elements of the coin's design. In the case of the 1986 nickel, the most noticeable double die errors were often found in the date and the word Liberty on the obverse. A sharp-eyed collector could spot the signs of this error, where the digits of the year, 1986, might appear slightly offset or doubled, giving them a blurry, ghostly appearance. While these errors are not always obvious, they are highly prized by collectors who know what to look for. The interesting thing about the 1986 double die nickel is that it wasn't just a case of a single, easily identifiable error. Some coins exhibited minor doubling, while others had more pronounced distortions. The range of variation adds to the excitement for collectors, as each error coin is slightly different from the next, making each one a unique find. In the world of coin collecting, these differences are key, as collectors love to hunt for and compare coins that show varying degrees of the error. But what really makes the 1986 double die nickel stand out is its rarity. While millions of 1986 nickels were minted, only a small number exhibit the double die error, making these coins incredibly rare. For years, most of the public remained unaware of the error, and the nickels went unnoticed, continuing to circulate as regular pocket change. It wasn't until collectors began to take a closer look at their coins that the value of the 1986 double die nickel started to rise. And when these rare finds started to show up in online auctions and numismatic circles, prices began to skyrocket. The next factor that greatly influences the value of the 1986 nickel is its condition. Like all coins, a nickel's value is determined not only by its rarity but also by its grade, how well it's been preserved over the years. Coins that are well preserved, with minimal wear and no visible scratches or dents, are much more valuable than those that have been heavily circulated or damaged. For collectors, finding a coin in excellent condition is a major win, as it can significantly increase the coin's value. Coins are graded on a scale that ranges from 1, poor, to 70, perfect. A coin that is in mint condition, meaning it looks as though it was just struck by the U.S. Mint, can command a high price, especially if it has the double die error. For the 1986 nickel, coins that are graded MS-65 or higher, meaning they are in excellent, near-perfect condition, can sell for thousands of dollars, while those in lower grades may only fetch a modest price. The combination of rarity, error, and condition is what drives the value of the 1986 nickel to impressive heights. Speaking of value, you're probably wondering just how much a 1986 nickel with the double die error can be worth today. Well, depending on the specific error and the coin's condition, some 1986 nickels have been known to sell for upwards of $93,000 at auction. That's right, what started out as a 5-cent coin could become a $93,000 treasure for the lucky collector who finds it. Of course, this value is not typical for every 1986 nickel, but when you factor in the rarity and the condition of the coin, the potential for huge rewards becomes clear. For those who have a 1986 nickel and want to determine whether it's a rare, valuable coin, the first step is to carefully examine the date and word "Liberty" for any signs of the double die error. If you notice any doubling or misalignment, you might be holding onto a very rare coin. It's also important to check the overall condition of the coin. Coins that are in great condition with little to no wear are the ones that fetch the highest prices. If you suspect that your coin might be a valuable find, it's always worth getting it professionally graded by a trusted grading service like pcgs or ngc.in. Conclusion: the 1986 5-cent coin, or Jefferson nickel, may have seemed like just another coin in the pocket change of 1986, but as time has passed, this coin has evolved into a coveted collectible. Thanks to the double die error, the rarity of certain specimens, and their high demand among collectors, the 1986 nickel has become worth far more than its face value. Whether you're an avid numismatist or just someone who happened to find a rare coin in your pocket, the 1986 nickel serves as a reminder that even the smallest of coins can hold tremendous value. So, the next time you come across a 1986 nickel, remember,